Well, welcome everyone. Merry Christmas. Orangeboro Board of Commissioners special call meeting, September 14th, 2021. At this time, I will ask City Clerk Beth Davis to please call the roll.
Commissioner Jeff Sanford.
Here.
Commissioner Mark Caslen.
Here.
Mayor Tom Watson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Larry Maglinger.
Here.
Commissioner Bob Glenn.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, we'll ask you to please stand for the invocation and the pledge. First, I'd like for everyone to just take a little moment of silence to pray for all those affected by the horrendous tornado that just destroyed Mayfield and really affected Bowling Green and Muhlenberg County and other areas. And just in your own hearts, let's have a little moment of silence for those folks. Thank you. So please pray with me. Our loving and generous God, we gather today in thanksgiving for all your blessings. Being elected officials of such a wonderful community, it is the honor of our lives. Please know that we follow your word in all our decisions we make on behalf of our community. We prayerfully ask your extended blessings. Keep our first responders safe as they tirelessly protect while sacrificing precious time with their loved ones, especially during this holiday season. Please help us all to keep Christ in our hearts and minds during Christmas as we look at the true meaning of Christmas. And as St. Luke reminds us, much will be required of the person entrusted with much, and still more will be demanded of the person entrusted with more. Lord, hear these prayers and those in the silence of our hearts as we all say together, amen.
Amen.
Pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll go to the presentations. It's my honor to talk about the Cap Gardner Employee of the Year Award. Casper Gardner was mayor of Orangeboro from 1954 to 1958. He was a U.S. Navy World War II veteran, dedicated public employee, community figure, and a loving family man. The Cap Gardner Award was initiated in 2007 to honor an exemplary City of Orangeboro employee. This is the 15th consecutive year that we will honor a city employee with this distinction. Every year, our committee, comprised of a professional member of the community, a member of the Neighborhood Alliance, and a member of the Rotary Club, reviews nominations submitted for deserving employees by their peers or supervisors. The committee had their work cut out for them this year because there were some amazing nominees. Along with an award, the recipient will have her name or his name placed on a permanent memorial in Cap Gardner Park located at 20th and J.R. Miller Boulevard. Here is an excerpt from the winner's nomination. The nominee has been with the City of Orangeboro for 33 years, since she was 19 years old. She works in the office, on the grounds with the crews, with contractors, and with the public, using her intelligent mind, hardworking hands, and her huge heart. She puts others before herself and is a graceful, genuine role model for those around her. The nominee goes above and beyond what is expected of her and expanded her knowledge and abilities by obtaining a CDL so she could drive for the transit department when needed. I'm honored to say that she is more than just a co-worker, but also a team-oriented, community-minded true fan. The City of Orangeboro is proud to have you as an employee. Congratulations, Miss Chris Wink. glad to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
My pleasure. So we have this outstanding service. This is the other part of your deal, by the way, in case you didn't know. Is it on? Everybody recognize Chris Wing? Excuse me, Mayor. And extends its. Thank you. Want to start this over? This is a certificate of outstanding service, and hereby recognizes Chris Wink and extends its grateful appreciation for your outstanding service faithfully rendered while employed of the City of Orangeboro from 1988 to 2021. All those who reside in the City of Orangeboro, Kentucky, are asked to join in this recognition of appreciation this 14th day of December 2021. So that's your retirement stuff.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let's hear it. And this is what you get for being employee, Cap Gardner Employee of the Year.
This means so much to me.
Here,
This right here means so much to me. I personally knew Cap Gardner. When we would work the park, and when he could, he would come and visit the park and enjoy it. And his wife, we saw her after he passed, and we've always kind of kept that park with him in our hearts. So this right here means the world to me, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's get a picture. And okay. Which one you want to hold up? Both of them? Show off. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This thing will come out fall break, so fair warning.
Okay, I'll protect it.
Adrian already warned me.
Thank you.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now the next item on the agenda is the OMU and Orangeboro Neighborhood Alliance Golden Santa Award. OMU and the Orangeboro Neighborhood Alliance hosted the annual Golden Santa holiday lighting contest this month. The contest aims to recognize OMU customers that use electricity to decorate their homes and yards, making the holiday season brighter for all of us to enjoy. There were so many beautiful decorated homes this year that the judges were unable to narrow it down to one winner. For the first time in the history of the Golden Santa Award, we have 2 winners. Congratulations to the 2021 Holiday Lighting Contest winner, Michael and Amanda Murphy of 2136 Fieldcrest Drive. And Darren, I'm going to kill, are you here? All right, give me a help on the last name. Darren Faggett of 2006 Farland Avenue. The community appreciates all the hard work you put into decorating your home. On behalf of the Owensboro Neighborhood Alliance, I would like to present both families with a gift certificate to the Briar Patch. Winners receiving a $250 OMU gift certificate and lighted yard sign from OMU. So if y'all come forward, I've got gift certificates. I'm available most afternoons for lunch, so everybody come down. This is pretty cool. We get everybody in the picture. Be over there in the middle. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. All right. They love it. It's- Okay, next item on the agenda, I think I'm right. Consider audit report, Alexander Thompson Arnold, PLLC, City Manager. I didn't know you had two jobs.
Well, good afternoon, Mayor. I was going to make some introductory comments. However, at this time, our auditor, or the managing partner who is going to present the report is not here yet. He is en route, so if you would skip this item and we can come back to it when he arrives.
Did you already tell me that?
I did not.
Oh,
We didn't
okay,
realize that
good.
until
I
we
thought
got
I
up
was-
here.
Oh, off track again. So we should go to 5B?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Like to consider approval of minutes, the minutes dated November 16th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
First, please. Okay, I'll make a motion to
So
approve
moved.
the minutes. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Discussion, anybody? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we will move to item 5C. We have a whole bunch of board appointments, and I'm going to read them individually. And can I just vote at the end, or, but if there's comments, please say something before I go to the next one, if that's all right. Does that work?
Mayor, I will abstain on the one that I think I'm on, the Owensboro Chamber of Commerce Board. So I will abstain from voting on that.
Okay. Anybody else want to abstain?
Well, I'm on the board right now, so,
Well, you're going off, so you can't abstain.
okay.
Okay, so this might take a little while. Orangeboro Human Relations Commission. We appoint Anna Kuthi, Dr. Venus Salon, Dr. Eunice Taylor, and Heather Yiser to a 3-year term effective January the 1st, 2022. The Ambulance Contracting Authority, reappoint Richard Peach to a 4-year term effective January 1st, 2022, one of our firefighters. The Orangeboro Davis County Regional Airport Board, reappoint Madison Silver to a 4-year term effective January the 9th, 2022. He is the board chair. Seven Hills Neighborhood Alliance, appoint Diana Crowley, Marilyn Kay, Yiser Taylor, David Norris, and Christian Potts to a 2-year term effective December 14th, 2021. Metropolitan Board of Adjustments, reappoint Fred Reeves to a 4-year term effective January the 1st, 2022. He's board chair. Orangeboro Metropolitan Planning Commission, appoint Greg Reck to a 4-year term effective January the 1st, 2022. He's a contractor. Greater Orangeboro Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, appoint Jeff Sanford to a 1-year term effective January the 1st, 2022. Seniors Community Center of Orangeboro and Davis County, reappoint Joe Bud Mason, Jennifer Allen, Ed Higdon, John Burlew, Brendan Neesmith, Kirk Kirkpatrick, and Bill Cooper to a 3-year term effective January the 1st, 2022. And the Walk of Fame Advisory Board, appoint Leland Hancock to a 3-year term effective December 14th, 2021. Appoint David Johnson and Candace Brake to a 2-year term effective December the 14th, 2021. And appoint John Irakane to a 1-year term effective December 14th. And I'll explain to you quickly, the board was originally established in 2012, and over the time it just became inactive. So I'd like to revitalize this board. Therefore, all the appointments need to be staggered so we don't have to replace them all at one time. So that's the note on that. So I will make a motion to approve these board appointments. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you all for serving. I will move to ordinances, second reading. This will be a roll call vote. Ms. Davis.
Ordinance 16-2021, an ordinance revising the City of Owensboro Employee Handbook, Chapter 1000, Subchapter 1004, pay chart entitled Administrative Services, thereby establishing the position of Customer Service Representative, and further establishing the compensation of city employees and non-elected city officers in accordance with a personnel and pay classification plan as required by KRS 83A.070. Read for approval on second reading this 14th day of December, 2021.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Pagan.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the second reading of an ordinance adding the full-time position of Customer Service Representative, or CSR, to our pay charts. And the pay charts must include all full-time positions approved by the Board of Commissioners. The CSR role is the front line or first communication with many citizens, and they log approximately 14,000 calls and texts or contacts a year. Historically, we've had 3 part-time CSRs to cover business hours, and due to staffing issues and challenges filling those positions, we are converting that from 3 part-time into 1 full-time position. That is the change. There is a cost of approximately $10,700 that is included in the budget amendment, which is the next item on the agenda.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sanford,
Yes.
Commissioner Caslen,
Yes.
Mayor Watson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Maglinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Glenn.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion approved. Okay, we'll move to item 6B, please. Ms. Davis.
Ordinance 17-2021, an ordinance amending the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021, and ending June 30, 2022, and amending Ordinance 7-2021 to receive third round of CARES funding, receive and appropriate funds for downtown Christmas lighting, fund transition of 3 non-full-time customer service representative positions to 1 full-time customer service representative position, receive funding and providing for the construction of 3 tennis courts, and to provide for purchase of a poll camera from the State Drug Fund. Read for approval on second reading this 14th day of December, 2021.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager, do you want to explain any of those other things? If not, we'll ask for any other discussion here. Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Caslen,
Yes.
Mayor Watson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Maglinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Glenn,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanford.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion approved. Item 7, ordinances, first reading. There will be no vote. Ms. Davis.
Ordinance 18-2021, an ordinance annexing to the City of Owensboro certain unincorporated territory in the County of Davis, adjoining the present boundary line of the city, being property located at 3238 Kidron Valley Way, containing 1.167 acres, more or less, at the request of Kidron Investment, LLC, introduced and publicly read on first reading this 14th day of December, 2021.
Thank you. City Manager,
Thank you, Mayor.
you're welcome.
Mayor, Commissioners, this is first reading of an ordinance annexing into the city a little over an acre located at 3238 Kidron Valley Way. This is a consensual annexation, so the property owner has signed and submitted a consent form requesting the commission to take this action. A new owner recently acquired the property and contacted us about annexation, so it was initiated in this situation by the property owner. The property is a multi-tenant commercial building. It is a building that contains Wasabi 54 and 2 or 3 other businesses in proximity to Walmart off of Highway 54. And we will consider a typical annexation incentive at the next meeting when we do second reading of this annexation ordinance.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions about that? Okay, item 8, municipal orders. Ms. Davis.
Municipal Order 41-2021, a municipal order approving 5.9% cost of living increase for all eligible pension annuitants under the closed City Employees Pension Fund. Publicly read for approval on one reading this 14th day of December, 2021.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, City Manager.
This municipal order authorizes a 5.9% cost of living adjustment for pensioners of the closed city employee pension plan. This is a closed legacy plan and not the current plan, which is the county employees retirement system in which our current and more recently retired employees participate. The 5.9% COLA was recommended by the board of the plan at their last meeting. Last year, a 1.9% cost of living adjustment was provided. The plan at this time has 14 remaining members and is financially and actuarially sound. This plan, Mayor, contains former non-law enforcement or non-OFD staff members along with OMU members from prior to the existing retirement program.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8B, please, Ms. Davis.
Municipal Order 42-2021, a municipal order approving a 2.3% cost of living increase for eligible annuitants of the Owensboro Police and Firefighters Retirement Fund, closed, publicly read for approval on one reading this 14th day of December, 2021.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager, please.
Similar to the last item, this municipal order provides the cost of living adjustment for a closed legacy pension plan. This item, however, is for the closed police and fire pension plan. It provides a 2.3% cost of living adjustment for members, which is the amount required by language in the state statute as it is governed by the 12-month increase in the Consumer Price Index. So that number was put forth, and that is a requirement that we adopt. This plan has 32 pensioners still active and remaining in the plan.
And it's fully funded?
No, sir, this plan is not fully funded. We actually provide for the funding for these retirees every year in our budget.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8C, Ms. Davis.
Municipal Order 43-2021, a municipal order authorizing the application for funds from the Federal Emergency Management Agency in the total amount of $8,036,250, and authorizing and directing the funds to be dispersed to Owensboro Grain Company, LLC, to facilitate construction of a wall on the bank of the Ohio River to ensure the continued stability of Owensboro Grain's facilities, and authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an agreement with Owensboro Grain Company, LLC, concerning the funds. Publicly read for approval on one reading this 14th day of December, 2021.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager.
This municipal order authorizes a grant application to FEMA on behalf of Owensboro Grain. The company is experiencing instability along a portion of the riverbank, which is called slope creep. You can also think of it, I guess, essentially as erosion. As a result, the grant request would provide funding for sheet pilings to stabilize the bank. The required 25% match for the grant will be the responsibility of Owensboro Grain, and the city has no financial cost or obligation for the project. We will submit the application, and Green River Area Development District, or GRAD, is writing the application and would administer the grant if it is awarded. So it's just a good opportunity to support a good local employer, Mayor.
Is it unusual for the company to do the match or instead of the city?
In this situation, I believe the beneficiary is really just one entity, and so they initiated the grant, found the grant, and actually requested us to participate. It has to be a government agency who actually applies, and so they are not eligible themselves to apply directly.
Thank you. Kind of nice of them to pay that 25, that portion of it. I think it's pretty impressive. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 8D, Ms. Davis.
Municipal Order 44-2021, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a mutual aid agreement between the City of Owensboro through its Owensboro Fire Department and Mercy Ambulance of Evansville, Inc., DBA American Medical Response. Publicly read for approval on one reading this 14th day of December, 2021.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager, please.
Our local ambulance provider, AMR, is contracted with the city and the county to provide emergency medical services throughout all of Davis County. OFD has responded in a first responder basic life support role alongside the contracted ambulance service for many years. Now that OFD is seeking to provide non-transport advanced life support, or ALS, service, we are required to formalize our relationship with AMR into the context of a mutual aid agreement. The mutual aid agreement will simply formalize the highly beneficial relationship that already exists between OFD and AMR to provide the best pre-hospital care for our community. Within this agreement are details on resource deployment, communications, and on-scene coordination. This municipal order approves the mutual aid agreement required for our transition to ALS service.
Can you explain that so it's not so confusing to me? I don't know about the rest of you, but
Yeah,
So we have an existing agreement with AMR. We've had with,
like we meet them at the accident or something like that, right?
well, we respond, and we often get there first because of the proximity of our fire stations. So historically, we've done basic life support, or what you would think of as EMT service. And so as Chief has presented to the commission over the last couple of years, really even since before I've been here, so 3 years or more, we've been transitioning to advanced life support, which is a higher level of service, which you could think of as paramedic service to the layman's terms, I guess. And so as part of that, we have to have an actual mutual aid agreement. We actually already have a contractual relationship with AMR, but the state requires us to have it in the form of a mutual aid agreement. So it really doesn't do anything new. The state just needs the same document in a different form to check a box on our application to provide ALS service.
So does that mean firefighters that are gonna be hired now need to be paramedics?
Some of them will be, some of them already are, some of them are in training. And so, yes, we will need a certain number of paramedics on the service in order to provide the amount of service we're required to. So yes, to some degree, not all of them, but a good number of them would be, yes.
That's good. Okay, any other questions?
I've got one, just structural one, if that's okay, Mayor. Is it
Sure.
okay? Okay. The Narcan, if you come across somebody that's overdosing, is that AMR currently gives that? Will these firefighters are getting advanced training be able to do that, or kind of where does that fall in?
That's a great question. That's a little too technical for me. So Mayor, if you would acknowledge Chief Howard to the podium, he's probably better positioned to answer that question than I am.
I just thought you knew everything, Nate, I'm sorry.
Hey, Chief, how are you? I'm just fine. Yeah, we carry Narcan. Narcan can be administered by, you don't have to have really a high level of medical expertise. Actually, law enforcement carries Narcan in a lot of places. I'm not honestly sure if the OPD did it. Okay, so OPD actually carries it as well, because that's something that if they're going to need that, there's no real contraindication to it. It means there's no reason not to give it to the patient. Then you want to make sure that's administered as quickly as possible, because as much as we can beat the ambulance there on a pretty regular basis in town based on our proximity, a lot of times OPD can beat us there in a lot of circumstances. So if they can get there and administer that Narcan, it can be of assistance too. So by no means would you have to have an advanced level of care to be able to administer Narcan. So we do carry it, and we've carried it for several years in our units.
So this is something we can already do. Good.
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty regular thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the sad part, absolutely. Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
And thank you.
So any citizen could have Narcan and carry it in their car and provide that, or is there a special license, or how's that?
No,
how
I
does
think,
that occur?
as far as the procurement, honestly, I don't think that the public can just buy it. I think it has to come through an organization, but I don't think you have to have a special license, but I think it does have to come through an emergency service organization.
City manager?
We'll look into that, Mayor, and let you know.
I mean, it's just kind of an interesting thought, you know.
It is, because it's not, you don't buy it over the counter.
Right, you don't, but I didn't know if.
Yes, I can clarify that for you.
I'm just kind of curious, because it might be abuse.
Yeah.
You're acting like anybody can do it, so
Well,
I just
it's-
was curious.
It's not just anybody, even if OPD's doing it, and law enforcement does it in a lot of different places, because they're encountering the overdoses on a regular basis in their line of work. So that doesn't come without some training to be able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. It just doesn't rise to the level of the advanced life support training. So it's not something that's going to be new with that effort with paramedics.
Okay. Anything else?
You tell me, if anybody has any more questions while I'm up here, I don't mind.
Just real quick, Mayor. So basically, we can provide the same service as the ambulance service through the fire department. Are we?
Well, there's a little bit more to it, and just a real quick historical perspective. Since 2006, the Owensboro Fire Department has been responding in a first responder BLS role. For almost a decade before that, it had been a requirement that our employees have the emergency medical technician basic certification, which means everybody that got on the fire department after a certain date in the late 90s, I believe it was in 99, they had to achieve the EMT certification by the time they got out of their probationary period. So it took many years before everyone was EMT certified. But like I said, in 2006, instead of that being primarily something that you would use at an actual fire scene or responding to a motor vehicle accident where someone was injured, we were being dispatched along with the ambulance service to primarily cardiac runs and really immediate life threats where you would have to do CPR. So once again, that was in 2006. Over the next 5 to 7 years, our profile in that area increased, even though we were still basic life support in that first responder role, a role that does not have to be licensed through the state. We're running alongside the ambulance and oftentimes meeting them there and transferring patient care, but it wasn't a role, once again, that had to be recognized with a license that had the strictures of inspections from the state and having to have the mutual aid agreement and all those things that we're talking about today. So in the last, since 2013, it's just increased. You can imagine the call volume on the medical side, especially with the events of the past almost 2 years. The call volume just increases and increases. And we've had so many instances in the field where we see having a higher level of care would be beneficial to the patient and beneficial to our folks because they want to do everything they can to help. So that kind of brings us to this point today. The effort that we've been doing trying to train people on the ALS side, the advanced life support, as paramedics, to be able to have paramedics. We're never going to have 100 paramedics on the fire department. We don't need 100 paramedics. We just need enough to spread out and be able to go out there and provide the service in the community to kind of shore us up on that side. And the city manager alluded to it. The Kentucky Board of EMS, K-Beams, dictates what you need to get that license that we're pursuing. And this is one of the things that we need. So we can run on the BLS side without being licensed, as we have for many years, to the benefit of this community. With ALS, we're not going to be able to run ALS without the license. And to get the license, we need to formalize that relationship, even in addition to the existing contract that the city and county have with the private ambulance service that serves Davis County.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, if I could add a comment, just more specifically say, to answer your question, I think was about, are we going to be like the ambulance service? We will not be providing transport service. So we're non-transport ALS.
Right.
And so the ambulance service or AMR will continue to transfer the patient to either Orangeboro Health or whatever medical institution or entity the patient is going to.
Right. Well,
Yeah, and if I wandered off from answering your question, the city manager is absolutely correct. We don't have the license to transport. That's just not something we do. We don't have the apparatus that are set up to be able to do that. Right. The ambulance would have to do that. The benefit of having the fire department there to be able to provide advanced life support service and to provide even the basic life support service that we provide right now is that those first few minutes with the patient are so critical. And when we get there, there's so much that we can do before the ambulance gets there as far as performing an assessment and the interventions that we can do, and then to transfer that patient care to an entity that does have that contracted obligation to transfer patients to the hospital. And in their absence, they have additional mutual aid agreements with other ambulance services that part of their contract is they have to have agreements with other ambulance services that can come in when they're not available to do that as well. In those instances, the Owensboro Fire Department or the Davis County Fire Department will still not be the transport agency. We still have to wait for that ambulance to get there to transport. Yeah, so the Class 6 license under the Kentucky Board of EMS is an ALS license, but this is specifically with a non-transport component that does not obligate us to transport.
Very good.
So if you unpack all that, you don't have to be an EMT to apply to be a firefighter here.
The current requirements to apply to the Owensboro Fire Department, and we're actually going to start hiring, start our new, taking applications towards the end of next month. If anybody's interested, watch for us on Facebook for that job posting. But you do not have to be an EMT to apply currently with the Owensboro Fire Department. Obviously, it's a tremendous benefit to an employee to come to us with that, just as it would be a tremendous benefit for any employee to come to us with previous firefighting experience. And just as expanding into the ALS role, it would be a benefit. We obviously have to take a serious look at any candidate that would have that paramedic certification as well, because that's going to be beneficial to us as a department. So no, it is not required to apply. It's highly beneficial to any candidate that is in our process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
But Chief, I do think it's required within, 6 months or some period of
yeah,
time for
it's-
continued deployment. So it's
Waiting
not,
for him to say
not a
it.
requirement
Yeah.
at the time of hiring,
of hiring,
but it is
but-
to continue employment. So it's ultimately a requirement at some point, very, very quickly after becoming
Okay.
an employee.
Yeah, it's not an application requirement, but by the time the 18-month probation is concluded, to have their appointment non-probationary, they do have to have the EMT certification.
So then you are trying to get everybody to be an EMT.
We do require, we don't.
So what's the difference?
No, we don't require it to apply.
I understand
but-
that, but your basis is you're still gonna, you want them all to be EMTs before it's over with.
Yeah, for over 20 years, yes, our department is required by the time they come off of probation to have the EMT certification.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. What are we doing now, Ms. Cecil?
We need a vote.
We need a vote. Does anybody want to vote? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 8E, Ms. Davis.
Municipal Order 45-2021, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a real estate purchase agreement for the acquisition of property located at 426 Walnut Street, declaring the property as surplus, and further authorizing the mayor to execute a deed transferring the property in accordance with KRS 82.083 to Habitat for Humanity of Owensboro, Davis County, Inc., publicly read for approval on one reading this 14th day of December, 2021.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve this for Habitat. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager, do you have anything you'd like to discuss?
Just briefly, Mayor, this municipal order authorizes the purchase and subsequent transfer of 426 Walnut Street. We will transfer the property and a $35,000 grant to Habitat for Humanity for a low to moderate income qualifying resident. And this continues our long-standing partnership with Habitat. Both the purchase and the Habitat grant will be funded by federal housing funds. And this project is in the Northwest Revitalization Area.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Ms. Davis, item 8F.
Municipal Order 46-2021, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a real estate purchase agreement for the acquisition of property located at 56 Woodford Avenue, declaring the property as surplus, and further authorizing the mayor to execute a deed transferring the property in accordance with KRS 82.083, publicly read for approval on one reading this 14th day of December, 2021.
Thank you. Have a motion to approve, please.
Motion?
Could I have a second?
Second.
City Manager?
Yes, similar to the last item, this order involves the purchase and ultimately the transfer of another property in the Northwest Revitalization Area, in this case 56 Woodford Avenue. However, for this item, the city will administer the construction of the new home, which will be sold to a low to moderate income qualifying resident. And again, this project is funded through federal restricted housing funds.
It's a good program. Any other discussion?
I just had a quick question for City Manager, if I may. Okay. So I took a look at the picture. Have we demolished the house that's already there?
I don't know if we've demolished it yet, but that
That
is
was
the
my
plan.
question.
No, we have not demolished it yet, but it will be demolished and a new home will be
And
constructed on the
that's
site.
subsumed in our funding package here?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Ms. Davis, 8G.
Municipal Order 47-2021, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an application for cybersecurity preparedness grant funding through the Kentucky League of Cities Insurance Services Association in the amount of $15,000, the proceeds of which will be utilized by the City of Owensboro for reimbursement of expenses already incurred. No match required from the city. Publicly read for approval on one reading this 14th day of December, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City manager?
Yes, Mayor, the city clerk's summary was very, very accurate on this one and summarizes the situation well. It's budgeted funds that have already been expended, and hopefully we can get some reimbursed.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. Ms. Davis, item 8H.
Municipal Order 48-2021, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a subaward agreement for grant funding from the Financial Commission for Appalachia High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area in the amount of $19,000, the proceeds of which will be utilized by the Owensboro Police Department. No match required from the city. Publicly read for approval on one reading this 14th day of December, 2021.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Several months ago, it was announced that our area was approved to participate in a high-intensity drug trafficking area program, or which we refer to as a HIDA. A HIDA is a federally recognized drug task force with federal, state, and local partners that results in additional resources to fight drug trafficking. This municipal order approves the paperwork necessary for the city to receive $19,000 as a subaward through the regional HIDA. OPD has one officer dedicated exclusively to the HIDA, and this funding will be used to reimburse the city for overtime related to his involvement in HIDA investigations.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9 is city manager items.
Mayor, before we get to that point, our auditor is here now, so before we get to the next section of the agenda, it may be an opportune time to go back and consider our audit, if that's okay with you.
I have to get approval from the city clerk, I think. It's okay? All right. Been in Florida for 6 weeks. Come on up there.
All right, Mayor, I just have a couple of introductory comments that state law in Chapter 91A requires the city to be audited each year. The audit is done to provide both the Board of Commissioners and the public accountability, transparency, and assurance that the city's financial affairs are handled appropriately. The city's audit firm is Alexander Thompson Arnold, PLLC, and Malcolm McNeil III is a managing partner at the firm and serves as our lead auditor. Mac is here to provide a report on the audit of the city's 2020-2021 fiscal year.
Mr. Neal, the third.
Thank you all. I stopped that with my son. I figured 3 was enough. So. Anyway, I'm sorry I was running a little bit late today.
So are we.
The document you have, the audit, is very lengthy and in-depth, and if I went through it, we would be here tomorrow and still not be through it all the way. When we start the audit, we go through a risk assessment process. We look at processes and controls, system documentation, and we develop our audit approach. And the risk assessment we have to do now, we have to just not audit the books of the city. We have to look at economic factors, things outside, such as the economic climate. COVID, for instance, had an impact on the finances, fortunately in a positive way for the city, and I'll allude to that later. And we go through our risk assessment approach. We look at controls, and you'll notice on that diagram, the big factor we look at is monitoring, and that's how well management and you as elected officials monitor the financial activity of the city. Some of the good things to point out, there was a clean opinion on the financial statements. That's the 3 pages there of our opinion. That's basically all that verbiage says. This is the 40th consecutive year you've been awarded the GFOA certificate. And that speaks highly of your finance staff and also the distinguished budget, the 21st consecutive year. And you've issued an outstanding popular financial report that's designed so the citizens can understand the financial statements of the city. Just some highlights, your net position, government-wide, citywide, increased 10.2 million. Your net position at the beginning of the year was 93.8 million. It's 104 million, and that's good to see. And your total assets and deferred outflows were 390 million, and your liabilities and deferred inflows were 286 million. One of the big factors that's on there, your unfunded pension liability. It increased $6.7 million over the previous year. And also your other post-employment benefits liability, I think we're all aware of those. And the CERS, it increased 6.6 million. And I don't know when that trend will level off. That's actuarially determined. That's not anything you're going to have to come up with immediately to pay off. That liability will be liquidated over time. In the governmental funds, there's a combined fund balance of 71 million as of June 30th, 2021. 25.3 million of that, or 35.6, is unassigned, and that's available for spending at the discretion of the commission. And the unassigned fund balance in the general fund of 25.3 million represents 159 days of expenditure. So what that's saying there is you're very healthy, very solid compared to where you were about 5 years ago as far as fund balance is concerned. The general fund increased by 8 million for this past fiscal year, and it's 4 out of the last 5 years you've had an increase. Part of the fund balance is due to the CARES Act funds. I believe that was 5.4 million. And also your long-term debt decreased by 7%, or $9.7 million. So that's good to see also. And your credit rating is very strong. Moody's, your most recent rating is A1, and that's very solid. And if you look at the change in the fund balance, as I alluded to, back in 2017, it ran a deficit of about 426,000. And you can see, looking at going from 2018 forward, you've been fortunate to see it increase each of the last years. And there's a parabolic increase for 2021, 2021. Again, that's due primarily to the CARES money that came in of about 5.5 billion. If you knock that off, you would be comparable to probably about 2.5 million, somewhere around there, in fund balance increase for this year. But you can see the overall fund balance where you were at in 2017. It's gone up exponentially, which is good. It was slightly below the GFOA recommended levels. If you go back to 2017, the Government Finance Officers Association recommends that you maintain at least 60 days operating expenses in there and your unassigned fund balance, and you can see we're slightly lower than that. And with economic conditions and a few other things that transpired, you can see that's turned around for the better over the last 5 years. And this is a composition of your fund balance where you can see the biggest majority of that is restricted for various purposes, and you can see that about 36% is available for spending at your discretion. And this is just your revenue trends. You can see everything's been moving in a positive fashion over the last 5 years for each of the categories listed there: property taxes, licenses, net profits, regulatory licenses. And that hasn't been the case with some. We didn't get hit bad with COVID as some municipalities did, so everything just chugged right along and maintained the status quo. This is what I alluded to earlier. This is a big 800-pound gorilla that every elected official and city manager and finance director in the state's dealing with. You can see how your net pension liability and OPEB liabilities have increased substantially over the last 5 years. And fortunately, that's not anything, as I said earlier, it's going to have to be liquidated immediately. That'll be paid off over time, and there's been measures taken to address that. But that's going to be a challenge fiscally in the foreseeable future for the cities. And other required communications we do compliance testing on your grants required by the federal law. There were no findings. We had no significant audit adjustments, no management comments. And as I told Nate and Angela earlier, that's highly unusual. You're one of 3 out of about 100 audits we do around here that have no adjustments or no management comments. So that speaks very highly to your staff, and they do a great job, and they're a pleasure to work with. And I'd like to thank all them, Angela and Danae and Whitney and Carrie and Tim. It takes a lot of effort to put the report together that you've been provided. It's a monumental process, but they did a great job helping us out with that and the audit. And if there's any questions, I'll be glad to entertain them.
You mentioned the pensions, the 500-pound gorilla. When are we ever going to address that or start addressing it? I know it's been ongoing for years, and it seems like nobody's ever taken any steps to address paying forward on those. Is there anything in the near future that's planned on that?
I believe the legislature has addressed that a few years ago. They took measures, but that's going to be a challenge because of the gross underfunded status of the plans.
I could, and Mike's comment was right. I believe it was in 2013, the state legislature substantially restructured the pension plan for local government employees and state employees, I believe, but more specifically to us, local government employees. So as more of the people on the older plans, what are called phase 1 and phase 2, retire, you have more new employees coming on board in the phase 3 plan, then that will begin to change. Now, it's probably a 30 to 40 year process. And so it somewhat gets worse before it gets better, but they have addressed that. It's just a long-term initiative. And now also to your question, I think is certainly a good question. Also remember that I believe in 2018, the city for the first time started our own long-term savings plan where we have a pension reserve account where basically at the end of most years or sometimes even at the beginning of the year, we'll look at our financial status and put money toward that. And so for example, the last couple of years, about this time, we actually look to see how we did in the prior year, and obviously we had a good year, and so we may come back in the next month or two and look at making another contribution to our pension reserve. So to your point, making a down payment for those future costs, even though those costs may be split over 30, 40 years, while we're having good years, it's prudent, I think, and I think the commission's taking the position it's prudent to save for those costs now because it'll be a 30 to 40 year time frame to turn that ship.
Right. Okay, thank you. We are.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I know I went through a lot of information in a short period of time, but feel free to pick up the phone and call me if you have any questions after you go through that.
We got them right here to know the answers too.
They do
thank you.
indeed.
Mayor, I
Yes,
do believe
sir.
action is required to accept
I know.
it. Okay, sorry.
Would you want to make it? No. Go right ahead. It's hard for me. No, I was just, okay. I'll make a motion to approve the audit. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you
Thank you
very
all.
much.
Merry
Thanks,
Christmas.
Nate.
Merry Christmas.
Okay. Mr. Pagan, 9A.
Thank you, Mayor. Today, for your consideration, we have the following personnel appointments. Anthony Small, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to mechanic with the Transit Department, effective December 20th. Sean Kaufman, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to police officer with the Police Department, effective December 20th, contingent upon successful completion of all post-offer pre-employment requirements. Alep Zavala, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to police officer with the Police Department, effective December 20th. Andrew O'Brien, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to police officer with the police department effective January 3rd, contingent upon successful completion of all post-offer pre-employment requirements. Benjamin Krager and Tina Stallings, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointments, telecommunicator with the police department effective January 3rd. Terry Seaton, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to maintenance equipment operator with the street department effective January 3rd. Ian Clark, probationary full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment to lieutenant with the fire department effective December 19th. Robin Cooper, probationary full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment to CSR with the administrative department effective December 19th. Aquato Douglas, probationary full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment to refuse truck driver with sanitation effective December 19th. And Jeffrey Scott Brown, regular full-time, non-civil service appointment to crew leader with the sanitation department effective December 6th.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve these new hire probationary status. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9B, snow season update. Kev on. All dressed up with his Santa tie. Doesn't he look good?
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm Kevin DeRossett. I'm the Deputy Director of Public Works, 1410 West Fifth Street. I'm going to give you a little overview today of just what we do for snow removal within Public Works. We usually start out around October the 1st. We have training hands-on. We also do class training where we bring several departments in, street, sanitation, buildings, grounds. We bring all those folks in, take them, we set up a training course, and we take them out, excuse me, and we let them see what it is that people that haven't done it before, what it is to drive a plow through the city streets of Owensboro, a 10-foot plow in front of you, so it is a little bit of difference. And like I said, we do cross-train other employees in other departments in case the street department has issues. Preventive maintenance, as you can see, our garage, they take care of all our plows, spreaders, they keep blades, washers in stock. Anything that we need, they take care of us, keep it in stock. They also inspect, service, and complete needed repairs to all snow equipment. As you can see, our equipment, we have about 6 tandem dump trucks. We have 2 single axle dump trucks. We have 2 sanitation dump trucks. We have 3 brine trucks, 3 backhoes with plows, and we have a loader. As you'll see on there, these are our snow maps. You can find these on the internet and the city website. The one there is the big one. It's an overview of the whole entire city of what we use. The 2 smaller ones to the left there are what we actually give our route drivers, and that's what they use to go over their routes with. And then, like I said, you can find that on the city website. Salt brining, like I said, we keep about 12,000 gallons of salt brine on our lot. Usually takes 8 hours to brine all priority 1 and 2 routes utilizing 3 trucks. We can apply brine about 72 hours up to a snow event. Road temps need to be 15 degrees or above. We also, most of the time, we do not apply salt brine when it's going to rain beforehand, and most of the time in Owensboro, it seems it rains before we get snow. So, during an event, like I said, we keep about 2,500 tons of salt on the lot. Keep about 6,000 gallons of calcium chloride. To go out and salt priority 1s and 2s, it takes about 4 hours. If we had to go out and salt and plow, it takes about 8 hours per route. We use approximately 80 tons of salt per round for all 6 routes. We apply about 200 to 400 tons per lane mile. And we use calcium, which helps the salt work a little more effective if it's 26 degrees or below. And like, as you can see on this slide here, the truck going through all the vehicles, This is why we refer people not to park on snow routes during events, because it takes a hard time for us to get our trucks through. So, but with that, I'll entertain any questions you may have.
So can you distinguish the difference between a number one and a number two route? I know a number one route would be something like 26th Street probably.
Usually number ones are arterial streets, Fredeca, Parish, Carter, things like that. We try to keep those open for fire, police, emergency vehicles, large employers and things like that. And then our priority twos are a little more for neighborhoods, you can say. And like I said, we don't normally plow all neighborhoods, but usually you have to drive 1 or 2 blocks to get to a plowed street for priority twos.
Now, the other question I've got is Frederica is technically a state road.
It is.
So do they collaborate with us in clearing it, or?
We kind of
do-
go hand in hand. They do some of it. Parish, Carter, the same way, they're state routes, and we kind of work together and plow.
Split the duty,
Yes.
the weight. Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good report.
So, did you have some leftover stuff from last year since we didn't have much snow?
We had a little bit.
I mean, so it does last then?
Yes, sir. We keep it under a roof, and like I said, we used to not have a roof over it, and it would get a crust over top of it, get hard. It does last, but you have to come in and break that all up. With our new roof, we don't have to do that as much.
That's great.
What about as far as staffing? Do you have plenty of employees and vehicles?
He
Right,
can drive
yeah.
a truck.
We're more welcome to let you come in.
He's
Yes,
seated
sir.
up.
I'm experienced with the snowplow too.
Yeah, come on. Yes, in the street department, we have about 18 to 19 drivers. And then throughout the public works, we have other drivers that we can use. Like say, when we do training and stuff, they come and train. But I will tell you this, to get the full of it, you need to go out and actually do it. Training helps, but to go out and actually see it, well, you see the truck there going through cars and stuff like that. It's, you know.
Yeah, I help my son do parking lots for apartments, so, you know, it gets pretty tight.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate all you guys do. You're first responders too, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, 9C, city manager?
Mayor, unfortunately, Ms. Rogers, who was going to present that report, is ill today, so it's not particularly time sensitive. We had a big agenda, so we'll defer that to January.
Okey-dokey, just want to get that clear. City project list.
The list was made available for you in your packet, and staff is happy to answer any questions you might have.
Got one.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I've just noticed on the Northwest Revitalization Project, it's $910,716 in private investment, and I think that's fantastic to see that kind of number.
It sure is, and that's you and Commissioner Sanford's baby, isn't it?
And
And
Commissioner Sanford has a lot of work on that project.
good. It's not like we've forgotten that area. Okay. Any other comments on the project list, please?
I've got one quick question. On fire station number 2, sorry about that. I thought I had it on. Fire station number 2, so we're estimating a completion for the expansion of, what is it, 4 months, 6 months? What are we currently thinking?
Yes, sir, Commissioner. Approximately 6 months on that project. They're moving along quite well. And, you know, I have to say that to move 3 shifts of individuals who are dedicated to public safety out of a building, move them to a new home, you know, public works staff, Joe Welsh and Andrew Osborne, the different ones that have done a great job, Joey Wright, or Captain Joey Wright, I'm sorry, with the fire department to help facilitate that move. And moving them out of the station allows that contractor the ability to do the demo work throughout the entire station, the exterior work, the interior work as well, to speed that process up. But even with that being said, it's still about a 6-month project. And some of that is just waiting on a few of the supplies, especially the air conditioning equipment, to be manufactured and delivered.
And
by
is
that
it,
time.
if we have a bad winter, will that slow it down as well? I would assume it would.
I can't say that we'll slow them down because they're inside the building.
Oh,
They've got the
okay,
base that they can
they're
work
doing
in and stage
interior
out
work,
of.
okay.
But I know just the door frames alone had a 25-week lead time, just for the door frames. So we're trying to find some alternate methods to get things completed in that time frame.
Sun windows.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you,
Very
Mayor.
Supply chain stuff. Are you finished, Commissioner Glenn? Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go 9E, city manager comments.
Just briefly, I know, and I suspect some of you will comment on this in your comments as well, but our community was fortunate to get through the recent tornadoes relatively unscathed. We're also fortunate that we have the resources and to be in a position to help other communities that were in need. So I've asked OFD Chief Howard and Major Winkler from OPD just to provide a very, very quick summary of the assistance that they provided to some of our peer communities across the state.
One's a chief and one's a major, so I guess the chief goes first.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't mind letting him go first, but, yeah, I concur with what the city manager said. We're a very fortunate position to be able to offer help rather than be the ones that need it. But part of being a good neighbor is knowing that whenever you do need it, they'll come and help you too. But Saturday morning, in the midst of a lot of difficulty with communications and everything, we worked with the emergency manager here in Davis County, Andy Ball, to identify where our resources could be best used. And anybody who's watched the news or aware of the path of the damage knows that Mayfield was hit particularly hard. And so initially, the crews that we sent out Saturday morning, we had 14 of our folks that were trained in structural collapse that responded because they had a request for heavy rescue team there in Mayfield, specifically in the area of the candle factory that most of you have heard about as far as the tragedy there. So it couldn't be just any of our personnel. We needed folks trained at that higher level. And several years ago, Chief Mitchell fortunately kind of sped up the process of being able to train our individuals to that technician level of structural collapse. So we're able to send several of our personnel that worked alongside members from Lexington Fire Department, Louisville Fire Department, and the National Guard to do urban search and rescue operations there at the candle factory. At that point, it was still considered a rescue operation and not a recovery operation. And they worked through the night and came back to us on Sunday. Now, yesterday and today, both days, we've actually sent 9 personnel each day to Bowling Green to help with search and rescue down there. Yesterday, my understanding is it was primarily in neighborhoods looking at collapsed and devastated homes. They still had missing folks that clearly hadn't been accounted for, and so they're trying to look in crawl spaces and just anywhere they could in cavities, and just trying to help give a little bit of peace to those families to try to help find those folks. And then today, my understanding is the attention turned to a wooded area with a path with a lot of felled trees, where they're going to. Our folks went down there with the chainsaws and hand tools and dressed appropriately, of course, for the cold and the circumstances to try to help with that search. Whereas the collapse team that went down on Saturday and worked through the night, they went and worked through the night. The Operation Bowling Green is really a daytime operation at this point, so they're going from 8 to 4 each day. We committed resources yesterday and today, and we're very likely to have some down there tomorrow as well. And I'll say Davis County Fires, our partner in so many efforts, they sent 2 of their folks with us on Saturday, and they've sent 4 each day with us down to Bowling Green as well. So, any questions on that? Okay. Like I said, we're just happy to help, and just really glad that those investments were made in the past to have the equipment and the personnel ready to respond. If you're ready to respond here, all you got to do is put wheels under so we can respond somewhere else too. So, glad to be able to do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Major?
I'll be a little bit more brief than the fire chief. I'll get over it. I'm just, now, we reached out to our neighboring agencies after we learned of the magnitude of everything. Bowling Green PD contacted us, and we sent a total of 15 officers and 3 supervisors up there. They were working 12-hour shifts, basically, 4 to 6 officers, depending on what was needed. Our mission primarily was to secure areas, neighborhoods, specific neighborhoods, so Bowling Green PD could answer calls for service. We did rely primarily on officers that were volunteering on their days off and their time off, so we can make sure the services to our citizens here wasn't impacted. But we continued that mission through, I think it was 5 a.m. Monday morning, sir. Bowling Green PD had it under control from there.
Thank you. Any comments from the commission? Commissioner Glenn?
I just want to thank both you and the fire department for reaching out and doing that. And if you're able to do more, I know we're short-staffed. Anything you can do is so appreciated by people in every community. Do we have, the question I've got is, beyond Mayfield and Bowling Green, have you gotten requests from any other communities, like, and Muhlenberg, for instance?
We have not gotten any requests. It's, and I think the fire chief may have said it, but we do have to, times like this, you have to be careful. You don't want to just send resources when they're not asked for. And it'll get more overwhelming for them, cause more problems. So at this point, we haven't. If we do get another request, we'll do what's necessary, sir, because we know they would do the same for us. So.
I had 3 granddaughters in Bowling Green and 1 block from where it took that stuff out, so thank you all very much. They slept well the next day.
And then, Mayor, we did have one additional member of our staff, actually, who's in GIS, who was working search and rescue Saturday and Monday in Dawson Springs.
And I did an interview with the New York Times yesterday and complimented our people and couldn't really improve on what Governor Brashear has done. He's done a great job of keeping everybody informed. And of course, his dad is from Dawson Springs, and he was really involved in the efforts that went on down there. So as a Commonwealth, I think we performed pretty well in a pretty historic 220-mile tornado. So we thank you all for your efforts. We really do appreciate you. Okay. Anything else?
No, sir. That's all for me today.
Now, communications from elected officials. Commissioner Glenn.
Just a couple of things. First, to be remiss not to acknowledge the tremendous loss of life and the impact we've had across the Commonwealth with the tornado. And I would just encourage people, if it's through your church or through a nonprofit organization, anything you can do to help, reach out and help do it. I think there'll be lots of opportunities over the next few months. This isn't going to be a marathon, it'll be it won't be a sprint, it'll be a marathon to recovering as these communities recover. I did attend online the Owensboro Human Relations Commission Awards. Wanted to point out J.D. Winkler was one of the honorees, along with several other notable folks, some involved with our neighborhood alliances. But I thought that was good that they were able to have that event. I also, of course, want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Hope that you're safe, and want to thank our city employees who will work throughout the holidays to keep the lights on and your trash picked up and our neighborhoods safe. So God bless all of our city employees and the great work they do. And that's all I've got.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to also thank everyone that was involved, the police, fire, the first responders, for helping out in Mayfield, Bowling Green, the area, and the quick response. And so thank you so much. And everybody have a Merry Christmas. And that's all I got, Mayor.
Commissioner Caston.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I also want to thank all of our volunteers and nonprofits as the year winds down for all their time that they've given to the community. They donate hundreds of hours even before we have a disaster like we've had with the tornadoes. Also, we had an unveiling of the Moneta Sleet picture at Max Rhodes Park. Is a beautiful picture of him. And I want to thank you, Mayor, for letting me have the opportunity to serve this past year on the Chamber of Commerce. It was very educational, and I appreciate it.
They appreciated you.
And Merry Christmas to everyone out there. Thank you.
Commissioner Sanford.
Just a few things. I visited the skating rink the other night that behind the convention center, and it's pretty impressive. And I want to thank all the sponsors that made that happen. I was there with my family, and I noticed a couple little kids coming off the rink, and it looks so good looking down from the rink all the way down through downtown. It's really impressive. And I heard some little kids coming off the rink, and they were just with their families. It was pretty touching. They're just like, "Oh, Mom, Dad, I had such a great time." And that's what it's all about. We've created something in this community that's something to be really proud of. I just wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and just remind everybody how blessed we are in this community to have the things that we do have, and remember what the reason for Christmas really is. It's not about all the gifts and stuff. It's about family. It's about friends. So spend time with those family and friends. Go to church, and remember what this season's all about. And I want to thank also the police department, our staff. Everything you've given us today here has been very positive, and that's why I'm saying we're a very blessed community. We have financially, we're in good shape. We have the best fire department, police department, and staff in my opinion, the state of Kentucky. And it's been a privilege to work with you guys this year again. So Merry Christmas to everybody, and be careful, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you. I want to thank Tim Ross and Ms. Pedley, because I had 85 legislators from Frankfurt here. Suzanne Miles brought them down as part of the Republican caucus, and I called Tim, or texted him. Old people say we call, and actually it's a text, but and the lights were not on, and I just forgot it was 5 to 9 on the weekend, and this was a Thursday maybe or a Wednesday. And I said, "Any chance you could turn the lights on for these people?" And boom, he did it. The lights, and they were in the midst of singing Christmas carols, and they just kind of froze. They'd never seen anything like it. So what you've done down there, when we talked about the 12 days of Christmas, like COVID year, you've taken it to the next level, and I appreciate your efforts in Public Works. And I do have a picture of one of you guys up on a ladder about 3/4 the way up on that tree. And I'm saying, "Oh, I wonder what the health insurance cost is on that thing." I mean, he was way up there. So it is spectacular, and it was fun to kind of chastise some of those cats from northern Kentucky and said, "Beat this." And so it's really, really, really nice. And I too want to thank all our sponsors for that rink. I didn't get down there to the ribbon cutting, but all indications are that it's a really nice thing. And so as we move into this, we're not finished yet though, are we? We got a whole nother thing to do, don't we? Is this it when we get to here?
Public comments, I believe.
I know about that, but we don't have any presentations from
Well, that was
Amanda?
Yes, Amanda,
Because
and
we
then the
combined
snow
2
streets.
meetings and a work session in today, so. But I do want to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and just remember to keep Christ in Christmas. I think it's very important. So also, all right, item number 11 is open public forum. Do we have anybody here that would like to? Okay. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Commission on any matter of public concern that was not on tonight's agenda. Comments are limited to issues within the scope and responsibility of the commission. The commission meetings are held to conduct city business on behalf of the citizens of Orangeboro and the taxpayers. This time, anyone wishes to speak, please make their way to the podium.
Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Todd Camp. I reside at North Stratford Drive, 2242. I also have served at New Life Church, 400 Crabtree, for the past 17 years, and you may know where it's at, 400 Crabtree. It's really a connector between Baptist-town and Mechanicsville. I've spent most of my ministry or focused on the Mechanicsville area, so I'll try to be brief. I know it's a long meeting, but real quickly, I've known several children through the years, through our kids programs we did on Tuesday nights, that, of course, grew up to be teenagers, who, of course, grew up to be young adults. And I spent a lot of time recently just kind of finding out where they've gone to and what they're doing now. And some are have risen above their circumstances, and how they grew up and in poverty or whatever the family situation was. But they had the same opportunities as everyone around them. They rose above. Some are in law school. I know a social worker, and just many that are productive citizens. Then, of course, there's others that chose another way, another path, and I know some that are dead, either through suicide or one guy got shot, another guy shot another guy, knew them. There's others are living in that generational poverty and continue to kick it down the road, can down the road, so to speak. They've just chosen another way. I know several that are in prison. In saying all that, one question I have, is there any funds available, or are there any long-term plans or short-term plans from the commission, or is there any funds available to help with the problem? And I'm kind of ignorant on what's going on as far
You're
as
in good
what,
company then,
as
don't
far
worry
as
about
what city may be doing and may not doing. So if you may just have to educate me, and I'm sorry to take up time, but that's the case. But are there any like ARPA funds, rescue plan funds, or any kind of the CARES Act? Anything we can do to help with funding would be one question.
Could you explain that a little bit?
Well, I just don't know if there's any monies available, and I don't know what the monies could do. I mean, I have thoughts of like, Dugan Best hasn't been, to my knowledge, been really remodeled like it needs to. It's clean. I've been spending time there. It's very clean, and Mike Gray and Andrew Johnson do a great job. The employees are great, but it's an old building with small gym and things like that. I just don't know what we can do for that community particularly. I think funds could help, maybe a task force that I'm willing to help with whatever may be needed. So I just really wonder if there's any funds available. It might be a Nate question, or if you guys have been discussing what could be done further. I know we got police chief and that too. So I know this is probably a long-range thing, but I just want to see if there's any things in the work and any funding available or potentially in the future.
Well, I would invite you
Yeah.
to just call
Yeah.
Adrian at my office, and we can sit down
Okay.
and talk about these ideas in more length.
Okay.
Be glad to discuss them with you,
Okay.
because all of us agree,
Yeah.
if
Yeah, I
you're
realize.
helping somebody overcome a situation, that's the greatest thing you can do in life. And there are overcomers out there, because
Yeah.
some of us are gonna get in a ditch every now and then. But if you can help them out of that ditch, not carry them for the rest of their life, but get them to overcome those situations, you can't do any better God's work than that. So I'm tickled to death to have a meeting with you, and
Okay.
we'll get your ideas of what you feel like is appropriate for your.
And I know, several folks that are kind of on the ground and in the trenches, so to speak, frontline folks that could be interested in helping. If there is a task force or some kind of thing, if we want to go deeper, I think we can get black people, brown people, white people involved, where it'd just be a good, diverse group that.
Okay, I'll be glad to chat with you about that.
And I wish Amanda was here for the Cravens pool thing. I had a thought on that too. Maybe a spray park. I don't know what's been discussed, but I was, again, going back to Dugan Best, I think it'd be pretty cool if spray park was there. Maybe that'd be, or even the swimming pool over there. I don't know if that's been discussed, but that might be a great area for that too. It's a beautiful little park.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll take that under advisement. Anybody else? Not bad. Okay, if there's no further business, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. I got a media alert. Friday After 5 Christmas Edition presents a Night of Blues Tornado Relief fundraiser. It's award-winning Crooked Eye Tommy and blues legend Tommy Stillwell going to take the stage at the Holiday Inn Riverfront. It would kind of be what's wrapping up the 12 days of Christmas, actually. It's a very special night of musical entertainment to help Kentucky rebuild after the devastating tornadoes over the weekend. Special event will be jam-packed with Christmas and blues music, time with Santa, free hot chocolate to sweeten the evening. I didn't write this. Dinner is available at the Burger Theory restaurant, and yes, there are adult drinks available. Though Friday After 5 will be present, this free concert for our community, we are looking forward to the Hearts opening wide. Taking the stage will be the 2021 holiday winners, Blues Tommy Marsh of Crooked Eye, and there's more stuff available on marcellus@gmail.com. So it's a pretty nice. I think you went to the one when you brought Rafe down there when we did that the other night. So It's Friday, December the 17th, free hot chocolate in the Glue, live music in Santa, and it's going to be at the Holiday Inn Riverfront, 701 West First Street. So if you'd like to take that opportunity, they're going to try and raise some money for some of these folks that are in need. Now, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor, indicate by aye.
Aye.
Aye.